A person with multiple sclerosis walks into a bar and a chair and a table and a wall. If I didn't become a teacher, I was going to be a stand-up comedian. This joke, though, is more than a punchline. It's a glimpse into life for people with multiple sclerosis like me. I started teaching in September 1989, physical education at the high school, and I was diagnosed with MS in March. So it's been a bit of a journey, but it's been one hell of a journey. So here we go. My favorite place to hang out. Every day I navigate a world where my body can feel like a landmine, ready to trip at any moment. Multiple sclerosis, the unwelcome guest in my body, has a knack of throwing my immune system into a frenzy, tangling the lines of communication between my brain and my muscles, causing weakness, fatigue, and difficulty walking. And some days, it's a three-ring circus in here. And falls are my not-so-graceful signature move. And sometimes my balance is so bad that I have to use walking poles so I don't pancake. Say the word syrup if you know what I mean by pancake. Excuse me? Thank you. And just in case you're not sure, I know that position quite well. But by giving myself grace, I've learned to live a great life. I can do everything I want except ride a two-wheel bike. My life is great. It is full of people I love who love me, a couple of dogs that are my favorite walking companions next to my husband. And even though I have challenges, and even though this is not the life I envision for myself, it's my reality. And so I learned that if I take control and responsibility for my thoughts, feelings, and actions, I don't get bent out of shape anymore. I just roll with it. Whenever MS rears its ugly head, I just let it go because there's always tomorrow. And I'm going to share with you a story that happened that will illustrate what I mean. One Friday night, Paul and I decided to go to the local pub for a great prime rib dinner. And he enjoyed 2 pints of ice-cold beer while I playfully sipped on my cranberry juice and club soda, remarking that my drinking days were long gone. But little did I know that this enjoyable social outing would soon be overshadowed by multiple sclerosis. When we got home, we were greeted by hilarious chaos, orchestrated by our 2 Labrador retrievers. They had taken every single toy out of the cardboard box and scattered it all over the floor. Over there, they were sitting as if to say, hey, look what we did. We deserve treats. While we were laughing and enjoying the mess that we saw, there was a knock on the door, and Paul opened up the door to find a police officer standing there. He turned to me and said, "Patti, it's for you." I navigated my way through all the toys and walked towards this stern-faced police officer. And he asked me, "Why are you walking like that?" And I said, "Because I have multiple sclerosis and I don't want to fall." As it turned out, somebody at the pub phoned the police because they thought I was driving away drunk. They saw me lose my balance when I stood up from the table and that I walked with an unsteady gait. Two common characteristics of people with multiple sclerosis. But I handled it with grace. I didn't get upset. I didn't get angry. I didn't cry. I didn't swear. I just confidently suggested that he go back to the pub and make things right. This wasn't the first time this happened to me, and it won't be the last. When I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, I didn't know anything about it. While the doctor was telling me about what the MRI showed, I was searching my brain, trying to think of someone I knew from my past who had MS. And I realized there was none. And when the slides stopped flashing by, I realized I had a lot to learn. And I think that's the case for a lot of people. It's getting better, but we still have a long way to go. And there are so many diseases that are so similar that I think it's a lesson that we can all learn. To be respectful of other people when we don't know their story. Before I can go forward in my story, I need to go backwards. I need to give you a bit more background information so you can see where I am today. So give me a double thumbs up if you understand what I'm trying to say. Perfect. Okay. And in addition to the double thumbs up, I'd like to have a super loud woohoo. Right. Okay. Sir, I didn't see your lips move. Can you say that again? Picture me in my youth. I was a whirlwind of physical activity, the ultimate sports enthusiast, the kid in high school who played on every team. Inactivity was like a foreign language, and perpetual motion was my default setting. My mom always teased me, saying the only time I sat still was at church and when we sat down as a family to eat. When it came time to choose a career, the choice was obvious. I wanted to be a physical education teacher and inspire my kids to embrace physical activity and sports for a lifetime, like I did at their age. So raise your hand if you know Mario Lane Lloyd. I taught Mario Lane, and she was the team manager for my volleyball team. And her organizational skills came totally from me. You know what? She was a little shorter, but she's still as beautiful as she was back then. Yeah. Yeah, she was the manager because her skills were not very good. All right, I got my job in September 1989, teaching high school physical education and coaching girls volleyball. And in 4 years, I started teaching the girls rugby team. And that was just absolutely amazing. When I was teaching, I realized that building connections with my students was very important to me. And it came from when I was in high school. I was born and raised in Sparwood. Raise your hand if you're familiar with Sparwood. Everybody knows everybody. We could never skip school because everybody's mom was my mom. And the pecking order went God, angels, parents, teachers. Paul and I were in Arizona, and I happened to run into my chemistry teacher from grade 11 and 12 and his wife. They had a house in Surprise and invited us up for a barbecue and let the dogs run in the backyard. So we went there and had a great time. Chris brought out the meal, and the buns went from Chris to Paul to me. And I turned and I said, Mr. Cella, would you like some? And he said, Patti, we're colleagues now. You don't need to call me Mr. Cella anymore. Okay, next dish. Sir? Right? And that's because there was mutual respect. And I can't count on 2 hands and 2 feet how many times former students have come to visit Paul and I in Grand Forks. Nikki Timms called, I'm on my way to Montana. I'm tired, I can't make it. Can I crash on your couch? Absolutely. When Bella and Trooper had puppies, a lot of them went to former students who have young families themselves. When Irina turned 40 and was biking across Canada, she stopped in Sparwood. Mark Roberts, and the list goes on and on and on. And that's how it was when I was in school. When I go back home, I always go see Carol. She's the reason I became a PE teacher. When Willie O told me that she was going in to be a PE teacher, full circle. It was amazing. I also realized I had a really simple and valuable way to connect with students with special challenges. And there was a girl in my class, her name was Corey, and she couldn't speak, and she was developmentally and physically challenged, but her facial expressions and her body language told me she'd like to be in my class. I was in my office on my birthday, and the door opened, and in walked Corey carrying a cupcake with a candle in it, and she was with her assistant, Sue. Corey came over and she held my hand. She looked up at me while Sue sang happy birthday. And and my last name is Bevilacqua, 4 syllables. When Sue got to the point where she had to sing my name, Corey looked up to me and said, right? Stand on your head if you can feel the love. I loved my job. I vowed to teach PE until I retired. I vowed to inspire all students to be the best that they can be and do their best. And didn't work out that way. It hit me like a ton of bricks when the doctor said, Patti, you have multiple sclerosis. My first year of teaching. Can't you, isn't there another disease you can give me? You know, angels up there can you take part of my liver, take a kidney? I need my muscles to do this job. And it didn't work like that. And so 6 years after I started, the only job I wanted, my career that was rooted in physical activity, was gone. Now what? Now what am I going to do? So now you're supposed to say, what? What did you do? Thanks, Marlene. I went back to university and earned a PhD in teacher development from the University of Toronto. And graduate school was way more than an education. It led to a life-changing discovery that moving is not just about the physical body. One day when I was presenting in class, I felt a familiar buzz, an echo of a surge that I always felt when my muscles were moving. And it felt great. It was so familiar. The light bulb moment happened later that day when I realized the buzz didn't come from moving my muscles, because I stood in one place while I was presenting. The buzz came because I was moving in a mental way. I was moving my mind. I was moving my thoughts, my feelings. I was moving my passion. And from that moment on, MS did not equal multiple sclerosis. MS stands for mindset shift. Over the years, I've had the privilege of connecting with women with multiple sclerosis all over the world. And I've listened to and honored their stories and gently redirected their narratives about, poor me, my life is over, towards an optimistic tomorrow on the other side. And I'd like to introduce you to Isabella from Spain. She found my Facebook group called MS Stands for Mindset Shift. And we started talking on Facebook Messenger. In our first conversation, she was so excited about her wheelchair, her electric wheelchair that was soon to arrive. But in the next breath, she was worried about using it in public. I said, stop right there. You need to shift your mindset. And she said, I don't know what that means, but I don't want people staring at me trying to figure out why I'm in a wheelchair. And I said, oh my God, Isabella, your life has totally changed in that wheelchair. You will never have to worry about falling, about being safe. You can go anywhere you want to. Her first destination was the local casino. She always wondered what went on in there. And I think she has her own table now. The ripple effect of MS stands for Mindset Shift has traversed the continents. And it's not just for women with MS. It's for everybody. Our mindset is like a lens through which we perceive and interpret the world. It influences our thoughts, actions, beliefs, attitudes, behaviors, and it ultimately shapes how we experience the world and our outcomes in it. I was going through a really bad day. I was in the teacher prep room staring out the window, trying to figure out what my life was going to be like. And a colleague from the P department came in and he said to me, I have a question. Do you know why you have multiple sclerosis? I said, are you kidding? Are you kidding me? He said, you have multiple sclerosis because you were so great in your past life that the universe had to give you a challenge this time around. So no matter what your challenge is, mathematics, for me, I was so great. You were so great in your past life that the universe had to give you a challenge this time around. That's hope, right? Thumbs up? That's hope. People who are in tune with their mindset, I like to call them mindset smart. Being mindset smart is the key to handling life's ups and downs. It helps us to stay positive, resilient, and believe in our ability to learn and grow. Being mindset smart helps us to manage our stress, stay motivated, and think about what's going to happen in the future. Being mindset smart empowers us to succeed in life and find fulfillment in every single day. Hit me, James. So, if you can you please all stand? I hereby dub each and every single person in this room as an ambassador for being mindset smart. I charge you with advocating for having a positive mindset and for thinking optimistically, staying resilient, and always moving forward. Take the hope that I have given you and sow the seeds. Plant the seed of greatness in every single person that you meet out there.